All righty, guys, welcome back for another episode of the War Room. Very excited here today. Lots to talk about, and of course, as you can plainly see, we've upgraded Tony into Tony 2.0. Mo has joined us once again, so thanks, Mo, for coming out and having a good time with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm the emergency backup broadcaster, as we would say in hockey, the emergency backup goaltender. So when Tony can't make it, I step in.
Yeah, we do appreciate it. I mean, I made one email. 10 minutes later, Mo's like, "Yep, I'm in," and I'm like, "Good." Then I don't have to worry about it for the whole week. And of course, Tony doesn't even bother to email me until like Tuesday and say, "Oh yeah, guys, I forgot I was supposed to tell you, but
yeah." Well, I mean that's good. You can always call on me, and unless I have something else going on, I'll be glad to join you guys. I have a great time on the channel with you guys, and love everybody in the audience. Have a good time chatting with them too.
Awesome. Appreciate it so much. And of course, I would have given Ruff the day off, but I thought his head would explode if we do that. So, Ruff, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing not too bad. Not too bad. So, as we say over here, we don't get too excited. We don't show our emotions when people ask how we are. We're not too bad. Tickety boo.
Not too bad. Well, we got a lot to talk about, but I already kind of went over this with Ruff and Mo ahead of time. But basically, this episode later on, we're going to talk about. So, the Dice Tower did an episode on Thursday, and I went and watched it. And they basically said, what 10 games should be the top 10 games in Board Game Geek? And obviously, the ones that are there are not really the 10 most popular games of all time. They're really not. They're just the ones that are like the fan favorite or the ones that get the most clicks or whatever. So I thought to myself, oh, this would be kind of an interesting topic if we were to say, what 10 board games, if we were to take all the board games throughout the history, war games, I'm sorry, if we took all the war games in history and put 100,000 grognards in a room and told them, choose 10 of these, write down your 10 choices on a piece of paper and turn in that piece of paper at the end, what 10 games would end up on our list? So we're going to be doing that later on. And we're going to, again, there's no right or wrong reason. I just thought it would be interesting to see how people's views and thoughts on this are. So it should be interesting.
Well, I see William Byrd is already slinging the first stone by saying, is Twilight Struggle really a war game?
Don't start, guys. Don't start. We'll be on coin next.
Well, the first thing we can say is, what's the definition of a war game? All right, we're going to extend this show for 18 hours. This is going to be a telethon now.
Well, if you guys didn't watch our episode with Herman, Board Gaming with Herm, on Thursday, we did introductory war games was the topic for the day. And I thought, this is going to be super simple, super easy to do. I'm not even going to really prep for the show much. And I went to prep for the show. And if you go to watch videos on people, different people out there that say, what is a good introductory war game? They're all over the place on what is an introductory war game. There are some really simple ones. There are some really complex ones. There is, I guess it depends on how much you know about wargaming.
Well, it depends on your
conclusion you two came to as well, wasn't it? There is no easy answer.
Yeah. That's kind of, and as somebody's already mentioned, what is the definition of war game? Me and Herman and a couple of the guys in the chat were discussing that on Thursday as well. It's like, does this classify as a war game? What do you use? Does it have to be hex encounter? Does then you're going to cut out a lot of games. And basically what we said was there's board gaming way over on the left and you have war gaming way over on the right. And somewhere between the two of them is a path. And in the middle of the path is a hole. And the game's either going to fall in the hole or it's going to be on one side or the other. So it is a crapshoot when you decide what is a war game and what isn't.
Because one person, sorry, Mo, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say one person's introductory game is another one too easy or too hard. So
true.
You're saying, I think if I remember, because I watched the first bit of it with you and Herm, that Herm I think was saying if it's got a complexity more than 3, then it's not an introductory. But somebody else, might need a 2, might need and 5. Is okay. So yeah, it's an impossible. You two had an impossible task, I think.
Well, that's the thing. You have to look at your target audience. Who's your target audience? Are you trying to teach someone who's 10 years old, 20 years old, no gaming experience, a heavy gamer? If there's somebody that's really into heavy games, a lot of like the train games, things like that, they're gonna be a different space mentally, and they're going to understand how to grok rules and absorb them a lot differently than, say, somebody who just plays, Ticket to Ride or something like that. So you have to adjust for that audience. And then when it comes to, like you were saying before, is it a war game? Does it have to be hex and counter? No, it could be area control. It could also be point to point, but there needs to be kinetic fighting for it to be a war game. Without kinetic fighting, it's not a war game. It's just a strategy game or whatever. And you can have, like right now, there's been the argument by a lot of people saying, like, is Twilight Struggle a war game? Is this a war game? Is that a war game? It's really simple. A war game's a war game. And if it's got a historical theme, that doesn't mean it's a war game. It could be a historical board game. And they're kind of like side by side, but war games are different. They do differ from historical board games, and vice versa. Historical board games differ from war games. So,
it's like...
Well, Mo's done killed my entire list now. I tell you, I'm going to have to start over again. Thanks, Mo. Now you change the definition and everything on me.
Welcome to Whiskey Charlie, guys.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's like Warfighter. Is that a war game? Or is it a war-themed game? So
yeah,
is it a deck building game, or is it But it's a war-themed game. It's one of my favourites. But then Normandy 44 is a war game. So because it's actually set in that part of the world with the map. But one person's definition. That's why I don't like getting into them, because I look at Warfighter and things like DVG stuff as war games, lighter war games, but to me, a war game. And your mileage, as they say, may differ.
They're war games. They're war games. I would say they're war games.
This is like Mo said, we could be here 12 hours to discuss what is a war game, what isn't a war game. If you chose to put whatever games you chose to put on your list of 10 games, that's fine. Because like I said, there's no right or wrong reason. We're just doing this for fun. Because I did some analysis. I had analysis paralysis, right? Because how do I put this? So I was watching the show, and one of the persons on the show decided to add a game, Blitzkrieg, World War II in 20 minutes. Are you guys familiar with that game?
Yep.
Okay. So somebody added that to the list, and it basically got blasted down like, oh my God, that's a war game that would never make it in the top 10. And it was like, me and Herman talked on this Thursday, because when you have a lot of people, right, there is a lot of gamers, board gamers, and then there is a lot of war gamers, and they're separate. War gamers and board gamers, I believe, are separate. Then you have a lot of people that I'm calling crossovers. There are people that would come out of board gaming and go play war games, and then there's war gamers that would also go play board games. I'm a crossover.
I play
war games, but you can see I got regular board games all over the place. So I'm a crossover. I do both.
Jester, they're called war gamers because we cross over. I don't think the other lot cross over.
Well, that's kind of what me and Herman were talking about on Thursday. Was there's not a lot of. It's harder to get the regular board gamers to cross over into wargaming. And that's why we did the introductory game, right? And it's even harder when you have people out there that when a war game is discussed or brought up and are putting it down, because the 100,000 people that are watching this are now going to, that's a war game, and they don't like war games.
I remember you saying that. Now, there's a reason for that is because and you said this, it's because maybe people's perception of war games is 52-page rule books, lots of this, lots of that, lots of chrome. Or is it people's thoughts that war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing, as the song goes.
That's almost like
that's poetic.
Lyrical. That's lyrical.
That's poetic, isn't it? I don't know where that came from. But it might be the thing, oh no, war. No, I can't play war games.
Yeah, there's an aversion to that.
Trains. Yeah. I think that's mainly the reason. I don't think it's because there's such an abhorrence to it. And if you were interested in history, you might even have a peek, mightn't you, at something? But there's, as you said, Jester, they just sort of shoot it down using a war theme analogy before it's even had a chance to explain why it's there.
Well, you know, you make a good point about, you know, when people hear war, they immediately, there's an aversion to it. There's a very strong aversion in the hobby gamer, which is what I consider everybody that doesn't play war gamers. I consider them hobby gamers just to differentiate in my own mind. And when I'm, you know, addressing both sides of the gaming sphere. Oh, actually, there's multiple sides to the sphere because it depends on what genre you're into. But
hobby.
Yeah, for the general hobby gamer, there's a lot of those gamers that don't like take that games. Anything where I can drop a card and hurt you, they prefer, especially the Euro gamers. They like that solitaire.
Like that solitaire co-op thing. Yes. Let's all work together. Let's all love each other. You know?
So they're not going to like war games because war games is we're squaring off when we're going at it. So that immediately is going to just be like, oh no, I'm not playing that.
Yeah, good point.
So
there are very few cooperative war games. Although Herman is creating one that he's not allowed to talk about. He's given me the inside information, but I also have a nice.
Don't you worry, Herman.
And if I say anything, then no, he won't even tell me. So I can't even use this against him.
But we're looking forward to it, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think adding cooperativity to a war game is kind of a neat idea because there's not a lot of them out there. And anything, me and Herman, we talk about this every week on our show, but everything to give people an excuse to come play wargaming, whether if it's easier, better, or if you use some of the same mechanics that they use in regular board gaming, whatever it is, bring them over, get them over to the dark side, make more crossover gamers out there.
And as somebody said in the chat there, things like Spirit Island you were playing and Root get away with it because they have cuddly, cute things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I believe on the show that I was watching on Thursday from the Dice Tower, Root was brought up, and I think the first words out of somebody's mouth was basically a war game with a different theme.
With furry things. Yeah.
And again, go ahead, man.
You, Herman, right.
No, I was just going to say, the problem, here's the other thing too, that kind of, I don't want to say, it kind of irks me a little bit how we have, there's this concern in the war game community about attracting crossover gamers. Now I can understand from the publisher's perspective, they're looking at it from a financial interest, but us as war gamers, hey, this is our thing. This is what we do. You're more than welcome to come join us and we'll sit down and teach you how to play a war game or explain to you anything you want. But why is there some people that feel like we need to go and attract them? People are going to be attracted to what they're attracted to regardless.
Yeah.
So
right. It's like having kids.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing to do for your kids when you want them to do something? Is to make them do it.
Make them do it.
They're going to go, get out of it.
But if you want to get kids into wargaming, the easiest way to do it is there's a game I'm actually going to be posting a preview of called Iron Thunder. And you basically just have your game on your table with little tanks. Every kid loves to push around little tanks.
That's right. So, yeah. And I can't wait to get the Bismarck out, set it up. That's a 2-player game, from Vuka, and set it up with the screens and the boy to come down and go, what's that, Dad? What's that? What's going on there? I said, will you sit there? Do you want to be the Bismarck? Do you want to be the Brits' feet? What do you want to do? Well, I don't know. And off we go, hopefully. So
nice.
Yeah. Mo brings up a really good point. I mean, you can't force anybody to be a war gamer. You can bring them over and show them all kinds of games and say, oh, we got simple games, we got complex games, we got any subject matter you like. We got games on it. There's even a game on the bulge. You probably never heard of it, but we do have a game on the bulge.
Is there? Are there?
There's one or two on Gettysburg too, I think. If memory serves.
Yeah, a couple of them. But you're right. If you can't force anybody to say, oh, buy war games because they're great. You can tell them that, but they have to have an interest. They have to have a little bit of interest in history or whatever to kind of like, oh, what is that? Like Ruff says, you know, oh, what is that? That looks kind of cool.
That would be like somebody saying, "Hey Mo, come on over here and play Magic." Like, tried it, don't want to do it again. Oh no, but it's great. Deck building's fun. Nope, can't stand deck building. I'm out. You know, that's it.
Magic, the greatest card game in the world, owned, staffed, and played by the worst people on the planet. So, but I love it.
Well, that's the thing about those games, right? I've always had an aversion to them simply due to the fact that I understand the economic model, and I did like from the first minute I saw it, and I was like, I'm not going to play a game that's intended to be obsolescent within a year or 2 years, 3 years, whatever. So that way they keep forcing you to buy more stuff. Whereas I can spend, I might have to spend $100 on a war game, but it's mine till the day I die or sell it.
Exactly. And with Magic Arena, I don't spend a penny. So I don't keep up with it. I play historic, you know, and I just have fun and annoy people that try and, you know, it's just horrible, these people. But I love the game. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't for Magic the Gathering, half the board games we have out there right now, I really don't believe would have even been produced, because companies out there wouldn't have seen the appeal of gaming for people and mass producing it. So I think it definitely started the path that other games and other manufacturers jumped on and said, oh, if they can make all this money in a card game, then we can make some money on something. So
I refuse to go down that rabbit hole. You know, there's some sort of like Lord of the Rings and all that. They bring out new packs and new things, and Arkham Horror, new packs, War Fighter, new packs. So you just got to go, no, maybe what I've got, thanks. That's it. I've got enough cards to last me till I pop my clogs. You know, so you just got to be strong. Be strong.
Discipline. Yeah, discipline. It's like, you know, I go into the casino. My wife loves to gamble. She'll go in and drop, you know, whatever, because she just loves to gamble. Her whole family does. Me, I'm very strict. It's like, okay, I'm going in with $100 if I'm in the mood to gamble, which I rarely am, but I'll be like, I'm going in with $100. It goes in my left pocket. Anything I win goes in my right pocket. When the left pocket's empty, I'm done. That's it. So simple as that.
You've had good fun for an hour or so, you know.
Exactly. Could be 5 minutes, but
but I mean, if you couldn't afford it, don't lose what you can't afford to lose. They say,
absolutely.
So, it's those idiots that keep going. I'm going to win. They're the poor souls that
then end up giving it all back. Anyways, I know I missed saying hi to everybody in the chat, so thanks everyone for coming out. Steven and Tim. Nerd Workshop is here. We had a great time talking with Nerd Workshop a couple weeks ago. He was a fun little chat. Dennis, thanks for coming out. James and Kevin, Mike Anthony, of course, the Herminator's here. Philip Reynolds, Kyle, and Richard. Richard Kerr.
Likes my system. It's the Mo game. It's the Mo casino
Richard
system.
Kerr is our winner from last Sunday. Did you watch our last Sunday episode, Mo?
No, I was tied up with a bunch of stuff around the house. I totally missed it.
I'm glad you finished that sentence, because all I heard was I got tied up, and then the sound went. So
we played some Tank Duel, and as usual, any Tank Duel game you have, there's only one player that gets blown up every time. We don't know who that is.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Terrain is your friend.
Yeah, but not when you have the cards. But yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the only drawback. If you don't get the cards, and it's like, eh.
But at least somebody is suffering. Nerd Workshop is on fire.
Yeah, I put him on. I put his ass on fire.
His tank's on fire. He's brewing up nicely, and he's staying like that until we do part 2. So that could be another couple of weeks yet. So
yeah. We did not finish yet. We're still in the process of working on it. But Richard Kerr, we were giving away a free copy, thanks to Mike Butterjelly and GMT, who sent me a Tank Pack #1. Richard Kerr, hopefully it made it there, or it's going to be there soon. I just shipped it out on Wednesday, I think it was. So hopefully he'll enjoy that when he gets it. So that was a lot of fun.
Don't let me and you play a game together, because it'll be catastrophe. All right.
First shot, they both kill each other.
If Herman and Ruff were ever to play one another,
dear.
It would be the longest game ever of people not being able to hit something.
So it'd be like a stormtrooper fight, you're saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're a couple of stormtroopers, haven't we? Yeah. In Star Wars, yeah. Fantastic shooters.
Oh, he didn't get the package yet. Not yet, but thanks again. You are welcome, Richard. Thanks for being a loyal customer and a great viewer. So thanks, everyone out there. We do appreciate it. I know, Ruff, tell them, how much do we appreciate everyone?
Well, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's so cool, but also kind of creepy at the same time.
I know. Yeah, especially when I come up to the camera.
He's got to do with his British. He's got to do with his British. Yeah,
Edward's got it perfectly.
The red shirt. There we go.
But that's also contradictory though, because stormtroopers can't hit anything, and red shirts always die.
Right?
Yeah.
Stormtroopers shoot and miss, hit the terrain above the red shirts, knock the boulders loose. They come down and they roll over the red shirts and kill them. That's how you explain that one. Inadvertent kills.
You can just picture, can't you? A guy gets his first TV role and it goes, "Mum, I'm on this thing called Star Trek. I've got to wear this red shirt." And yeah, it'd be great. And then he's in one scene, dies. Yeah.
That's it.
The only audio he records in the scene is, "Oh."
Yeah.
Alistair, we upgraded Tony to a 2.0 version. So he's been upgraded.
Tony, well, you know what? School just started this week for me as a teacher, and you can see how it aged me so fast. Just the first week of school.
Wow. And you got your hockey starting up soon, don't you?
Yeah, we got that. That'll be starting up in the end of October.
Oh, nice. I know you do a lot of work with that, so that should be a lot of fun. I think that would be a great little gig to do. So, Ruff, what do you got on the table there, buddy? Looks like you got some stuff.
Well, still playing Zero Leader and having great fun with it. And there's a sort of not a major rule change. A lot of you play it might know about it. But you know, when you play Corsair Leader, you'd pick the year and you tip it into a cup, and you pick out your sights and your bandits in the same cup because you've got them on both sides. It says that in Zero Leader. Take the year, put the planes in from that year in a cup. But no, evidently you're supposed to put all the year in, so that gives you lots and lots of sights, but also it gives you lots and lots of different planes. So you've got to pick out the planes that you want to get. It's to make the ratios of the sites better. So that's what I've got to do. So the first time I didn't do it, I've done it now, but by the magic of video, I can stop the video, sort out the planes I want, put them in a cup, and then draw them so I don't keep drawing the wrong planes and people are going, "Come on, Ruff, bloody hell." So, yeah. And over here, I've got some new stuff.
You just missed it. That
was right at the beginning. Got my P500 stuff in.
Nice.
Wow.
Musket and Pike. I can't wait. This looks really good. The rules, starting to read them already. And all the counters have a little letter on them to tell you which battle they're from, so you can pick all them out and put them in a bag. Don't have to sort through millions of counters to find your counters for that battle. And of course, we've got the Stalingrad expansion, which comes with a completely new set of core rules. So there you go. And Julius Caesar. Nice. Have you received yours yet, Jester?
Well, let me show you. All right? Because I get this nice little UPS thing that says, "Hey, you got a package on the way." It's from GMT Games, and it's going to be delivered on Monday, the 28th or 29th. I'm like, oh my God, why is my package like 2 weeks later than everyone else's? Everyone else has already done videos. They've already played the game. They already put it on their shelf and put it away because they're done with it, right? I haven't even got mine yet. Then, mind you, it's not over. This story does not end. I get another email that says, dun, 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 "Oh, your delivery's been rescheduled."
I phoned them up.
It's not coming on Monday. Oh, no.
Yeah.
We're going to wait till Tuesday to give it to you. So it's just been delayed another day.
For now.
Yeah, I'll give them a ring on Monday and tell them to delay it another couple of days. All right.
So that is where my package just keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. I don't know.
Then it'll be signature required, and an hour you're not home.
Yeah. They're going to sit outside and wait for you to go out your house and then knock on the door.
Oh my God. No, we have not done our top 10 list yet. We are going to be doing that soonish. Hey, I was there the other day when you won that.
Yep. That was on Joe's channel, Stuka Joe.
Oh, you won it from Stuka, did you? I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it was set up ahead of time. Come on. Okay. I mean, you know, he pretends like it's a random thing, but it's like, oh, who do I like?
He keeps it within the family. Jobs for the boys.
Yeah, keep it in the group.
Well, Joe is like, you didn't get one? You didn't get one? Because like everybody got a copy. I'm like, no, I didn't get a copy. You know, I think it's because I have another game from them right now, the prototype for Red Strike. So that's,
right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
It's going to be a big game. That's a big game.
It's sent to you by UPS priority instead of UPS.
100%.
Whatever's the cheapest on their site. I don't know. I just choose the cheapest option. I know there's a couple different shipping options. Hey, Mike Butter Jelly is at ComSim. What was the name of that again? ComSim Expo 2022. Yep. So thanks to Mike for showing up while at the expo. So thank you. Tell everybody the War Room says hi.
They'll go, who?
I got the same exact notice as Steven. Really? I thought it was just me. I thought it was literally just me.
Have you upset him as well, Stephen? Because I know he has.
Mo, you get your packages pretty quick, don't you?
They get here pretty decent, pretty quickly. I did get one. It was a little slow getting here and went through USPS, but I got one last week. GMT sent me a copy of Flashpoint South China Sea that Harold had sent over to me, and that should have been here a little quicker, but it got delayed in the post office just by a day or two, which is not a big deal.
I know shipping is a problem nowadays and still issues with shipping, but I give everyone a break and stuff. And I always tease GMT because it's like every time I get my packages like 2 weeks after everybody else. So yeah, I don't know if it's because
shouldn't laugh.
Going from California to Florida and they got to go around the peninsula, and they can just drop it off at Mo's house because you're in Texas. So
they should just go down the Southway. Yeah.
There you go.
Instead of going all the way through Michigan, all the way up into New Hampshire, down the East Coast, and then finally to Florida.
I tell you what, I had a weird experience as well. When DVG sent me this Zero Leader, I contacted and I said, it's been a while, I know it takes a little while. Where is it? He said, oh, it's in Holland. And I went, what? It comes across sea, plopped to England. Yeah, but no, this went to Holland, and then it went down to Belgium, and then it stayed there a bit, and then it came across from Belgium. So go figure with postage, and that's why I think, why is it going that way round? I don't know.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Alistair's comment.
Don't wind him up. Don't wind him up, Alistair, please.
Oh, look at he's in Florida. He's got his on Tuesday.
Yeah, you must have upset them. I don't know what
I have not done anything. I am Mr. GMT, as you all know. I am Mr. GMT. 90% of my collection is GMT. Speaking of which, Mo, this has got to do with you. I see you do a lot of Compass things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've been telling me for the last year or two, hey, Compass, and I said, I'm just not really happy with their decisions and their games. And just every time I get one, I'm just not. And you were like, oh no, they're much better now than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna branch out and maybe get a couple.
Nice. Which ones do you think about?
Yeah, go on.
I'm not 100% sure yet. I haven't narrowed it down, but I'm like, yeah, I spend a lot of money on GMT. I do 80% of their P500. So I'm like, I should probably give another company a chance.
Yeah.
And I know I was disappointed.
Mo, when you're in the boardroom with Bill next time, all right, tell him to get his finger out with combat, please. I've got the money waiting here.
That's coming. I haven't
got a Compass game yet, and I thought I'm going to save that. Was my birthday money. I'm going to save that. I'm going to get that, and I've been waiting.
Yeah.
As Diana
Yeah,
Ross
I'm actually looking at Combat
wait.
2. A lot of people are playing it now. I see a lot.
Combat
of
1.
it.
Get Combat 1. Then you can get Combat 2 because 2
got
is
plenty
actually
of
an
Combat
expansion.
2 in the shop, but not Combat 1. Tell him to get his finger out.
Yeah, well, they're actually coming out with a revised edition. I think he said November is when it should be
Oh,
arriving.
wait.
So.
Compass Kennel sale will be coming up. Oh,
Yep.
Mo.
No good to us.
Yep.
You got me know when that is because I might just do that.
Should be soon. And it's a long sale, too. It goes from like October or something like that. The Christmas sale goes from like October, November, all the way into January.
Ooh.
So it's not like it's a 4-day sale.
All right. So you know me. Which one should I look at? Which games did you recommend? I'm looking at Combat.
Well, you're looking at Combat. I would definitely go with Combat. That's a great game for solitaire play. Any of the, if you want solitaire games, any of the Greg Smith ones are really good too. Imperial Tide, Pacific Tide, and Ostkrieg are all 2-player games that do have solo bots also, but those are, operational games, strategic games. When it comes to like the solitaire games, if you like the Hunters, which he did with GMT, then you can check out any of his aircraft games. He's got a new one out right now that's coming out it's on Kickstarter right now called American Tank Ace, which is really, really good.
It's not. No, we've got the World War One.
Western Front Ace.
Sorry. But I'm looking forward to that as well.
It's coming soon. Yep. Combat has been one of my favorite games. I know several of our subscribers are now posting videos on it on their YouTube channel, and I'm like, boy, this every time I watch it, I'm like, it's pretty interesting.
Dad versus Son that's done a
Dead versus Son
of them, volume 1 and 2. So
and that's one that I've been trying to get a learn to play going on it, but there's been some delays not on my side, but elsewhere, and we're going to work through that and try to get a learn to play out for that at some point. Next one that I've got coming out is for Third World War, for the air war portion, because I already did the Third World War. And then after that, we're going to be doing the enemy action Kharkov German solitaire module. So
I've had this discussion. It doesn't, I know it's a JB, but it doesn't, John Butterfield, but it doesn't do anything. It's not sort of ding-donging me bells.
It's very puzzly. It's very puzzly. And if you don't want to play a puzzly type of war game, then it may not be for you.
I'll tell you what, I'll pick 20 chits. Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. And I think, no.
Well, there's a reason why you do that.
I'm overdoing it. But
no, you're right. You do pull out a set amount of chits for the combat resolution. And it screams against every one of our instincts, which is, no, I want to figure it out, do my column shifts and add my modifiers and roll dice. But this one works a little differently, and it does work. So
But I've watched some playthroughs, and I've watched the chip pulls, and I'm thinking, no, it's just not engaging me enough. And that's okay. Other people love it. But combat, I want combat. Tell them to hurry up.
Yeah, combat's really good. and Mike Anthony has a great point too. Yeah. Brief Border Wars is another great one.
That's the one with lots of different small games in it, isn't it?
You get 4 games in one box. Yeah. The base rules are 4 pages. Like 3.5, 4 pages.
Doesn't Compass have the Napoleonic series?
They have Napoleon's Imperium, and then they have Coalitions. That's also another Napoleonic.
To Paris or something. They do.
They're not like a series. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else then. Yeah, that's
you're thinking about La Bataille, which is in my top 10 war games.
Ooh, is it?
So
spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Spoilers!
Whoa!
Which number is it? I don't know. I didn't give him any numbers. I just threw a list.
Mine's going to be pretty naff, but there you go. And the Third World War, that's the one with the 3 games in it, yeah? Is that the
4.
reprint? 4 games.
4 games,
I saw the maps. I saw the map laid out, and I forget where it was. Somebody had taken a picture. It's bigger than my living room floor.
It's big. I mean, it's not gigantic, but it is fairly big. It'll take about a good-sized table, and it will overflow.
A couple of good-sized tables, but must be great if you've got a...
Well, if you want to play the full campaign, if you want to play the whole thing, then really just for space and time, it would be better off just playing it at a con with multiple people rather than just playing it by yourself.
It'd be good fun.
It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. Instead, you could just play the individual games or put a couple of them together and play those at home where it's more manageable and you're playing solitaire. it'll still need some space, but you won't have to need all the space you'll need for the full campaign.
Yeah.
Or you can just use the Vassal module.
Shut up, Mr. Compass. All right.
Well, it's okay. It's all good information. And I talked about this a little bit about how, there are, and this is for the
Kevin.
chat. This isn't for Mo. This isn't for Ruff. This is for the chat, right? I'm talking to the chat now because me and Herman talked about this on Thursday, and that when you have good wargaming channels, right? Because we are the minority in the world, we're like the redheaded stepchild. You have to go and support those wargame channels out there. Mo's channel, right? Gimpy's channel, Big Board Game channel. And by supporting them, I mean go view, go like, subscribe, leave comments, do things like that. Not for them, but for everyone in the community, because we are the redheaded stepchild in the board game community, right? Everyone's like, oh no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So you guys, I know, right? We have the Facebook group, the ComSim World group. We get lots of posts from lots of people. I always, if I'm watching or I click on the like. I know Ruff does it a lot. I know a lot of you guys out there do it a lot. But you guys got to do that all the time. You got to do that all the time. It's very important to do that.
In the chat with clicking and subscribing, and they've come and said thanks. We got all the guys and girls to go along and subscribe to them. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, that's great to do that because, like you're saying, it's a small niche. It's just a really small community. And if we all support each other, it just makes it more beneficial. The more voices, the more opinions, the more information, the more ideas. And you never know who you might inspire to play a war game. They start playing, they love it.
Up with somebody's feed that not played one before, and they go, oh, what's all that about?
And then,
so I'm going to revamp my.
I can guarantee, right? I told you guys this story, and I'm not going to harp on this, but when the Dice Tower made that comment about, oh, that's a war game that should never be in the top 10, right? I'm sure, right, if they would get 1,000 people in the comment section that say you shouldn't be dissing war games because there's a lot of really good games out there or something like that, they read the comments. And
did they say that?
Twice. Maybe I shouldn't say negative things because.
Did they actually say, oh, we can't have it in because it's a war game then? Or you paraphrase?
Did Vassal say that or someone else?
Vassal said it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is that exclusionary attitude of the hobby gamers. They will dismiss war games because that should never be in the top 10.
What game should be in the top 10? And basically his comment was like, that's a war game. It would never make it in the top 10. I mean, he didn't say it in those exact words, but I would go have you guys watch it and downvote it, leave a comment and say, you shouldn't be dishing war games, just because of your views. You should be supporting any game out there, whether it's a war game or not.
Yeah.
So that's really the burn, right? So that was what burned me on Thursday. I got, Thursday night, it was me and Herman got together. I was still fuming about it. And so we talked after the show and he's like, well, you could probably just talk about it on your show. And so I was like, yeah, we're going to talk about it. And I thought, well, what's a good way to turn this into a positive thing, right? And then, so that's why I decided, well, let's do like a top 10 list of war games.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing too is, like I said, Vassal doesn't care what our opinion is. He's huge. His channel is going to be huge. Yeah. The premier channel in board gaming. Hobby gaming is just titanic compared to wargaming. It's just a facts right there on it. Like we were talking about before the show, a war game companies, regardless of which publisher, they're going to be printing. Their print runs are going to be anywhere from 1 to 3,000, with 1,500, 2,500, kind of like the average. 3,000 on the top end. On a really good end, it's going to be 5,000. Really good end. Whereas these hobby game companies, they're looking at when they're going to do their print runs, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, even up to 100,000 for a print run.
Well, you look at the Kickstarter of something like Come On, and it's in the millions.
Oh yeah,
it's silly.
But keep this in mind, my friends. Keep this in mind. They say everything is cyclical, right? In the 1960s and early 70s, when you bought a board game, what kind of game was it?
Well, Wargames started it
war
all,
game.
really.
It was a war game. Wargame dominated in the 60s and 70s.
Mhm.
Now, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, it's been the opposite side. But everything is cyclical, my friends. In 2030, mark my words, in 2030, wargaming could start making a comeback.
What do you mean making a comeback?
It's never died. It's just
tied.
Oh, no.
Keep it on.
Don't even go there and say
I know you hate that comment, right?
the graying of the hobby. Wargaming is
I'm
dying.
not degrading the hobby. What I'm trying to say is, we're not the most popular, right?
Mhm.
We should try to make it the most popular, or try to be part of the most popular. And like I said, for the guys in the chat, right? It's very important that you guys go and like and comment and subscribe, because it's important for all of us, because we're on the downside. Someday maybe we can be on the top side again.
I think what we're doing, we're not steadying. We are keeping going, because if we didn't, there'd only be 3 of us left.
Yeah,
because everybody dies, and nobody comes back into the thing. There'd be us three left playing war games. So there's people coming in all the time. It's not dying. It's not the biggest industry, but it's been around. They've been saying that since the 70s, haven't they, Mo?
Oh yeah. They've been trying to write off wargaming forever, and it's not going to happen. War games are not going anywhere. And when it comes to the hobby games, they're always going to be there. The way I look at it is, war gamers, we're the cool kids in school, and everyone else is muggles. So it's like, I'd rather be with cool kids.
We're like the.
Of course, we're the cool kids, but
I don't worry about it too much. Like I said, I'm not against. I am for bringing people into the hobby. What I'm against is this kind of attitude some people have of, oh my God, we've got to be desperate. We've got to win people over. Unless you have a financial vested interest as a company in gaining more customers, that would make sense for them. But for us, no. I mean, we don't have to worry about it. We are always
anybody
open.
that comes in, as we would anybody.
Yeah.
Just we don't have to tick quotas and.
That's a good point.
But there's kind of a panic with some people.
War gamers, we're not getting 1 or 2 games a year. I mean, there's literally 20 different dozen games that come out every year. I mean, I don't know what the exact number is, but I got a picture it's somewhere between 100 and 150 different games a year, don't you think?
Oh, minimum.
Loads. And if they weren't selling them, they wouldn't be making so many.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not dying and it's not dead. And I'm sick of people just treating us like we are the weirdos when we're not the weirdos.
The evil ones.
Don't worry about what they think. They're jealous of the cool kids.
Death and destruction.
They're just jealous of the cool kids because they can't do it.
Days. I can't help
it. They're the muggles. That's right. They're the muggles.
They're like, but what do you mean? Oh, you play war games. Oh, well, see, my game has 4 pages of rules with big pictures, and it's so much easier to play.
And it has cubes.
But it's like, okay, great. Enjoy. And that's cool. I'm all for everybody enjoying the game they want. But there's just kind of like this attitude. Yeah, exactly. So we don't need to worry about it. Let them enjoy what they're enjoying. We can enjoy what we're enjoying.
One day we'll get them. Somebody will watch something or see something and go,
possibly. Yeah.
One by one. We're taking over the world one by one.
What have you been playing recently, Mo? Anything new and interesting?
Well, the one I was playing, I just shot because it was just a week. This week was a week, put it that way.
Oh, you got the school start. Yeah.
A lot of stuff go. Well, no, I don't teach because someone had asked before. I'm not a teacher. I'm in IT, but I actually just, with all the stuff at the house and stuff, just kind of nuts. But I finally had a chance. I had these false starts. I tried several times to get started on this preview of a game for the game Iron Thunder for Kickstarter, which comes out on Tuesday. And I've been meaning to get it done. I just haven't been able to sit down and do what I want to do. And I was going to do a standard preview of just talking about the game after I've played it again. So it's really fresh. I'll play a game multiple times. And then when I do my preview, I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to play through again. I'm going to add some more notes. Then I'm going to do it while it's fresh in my mind. I'll talk about it because I just played it again. Instead, what I did this time is I did a playthrough. And then I did the discussion, kind of a little bit of discussion throughout the game and then at the end. And that's the first time I've ever done that. And doing it in this office that I've got here is I bumped the camera numerous times and I bumped the table and I was like, oh man, It's like, so it's kind of sloppier than I had intended, but you still get to see the
Not having
gameplay. You
that.
still enjoy it, and I think it's going to be one of those games that'll attract non-war gamers.
So
There's a lot of those designs coming out now.
Mhm.
So I mean,
sorry, what's it about, Mo? For people that don't know,
It's pretty much just a really it's a skirmish game.
set in
World War II, because you
Right.
have Germans, Americans, Soviets, UK, all those tanks and troops. And the base game is just going to be little army men, kind of little guys, small guys, and then tanks, about same size as you got in Tide of Iron.
Right.
And actually, I think they're probably the models from Tide of Iron is what they look like to me, because I've got a bunch of Tide of Iron minis that I kept, because they're fantastic little minis. Well, you start off, you've got to your headquarters you have to lay out, then you have buildings that you have to lay out for resources, and then terrain. You just lay them all out alternatively, and then you play through. And then you have cards that you can buy with resources that you get out of your buildings. And basically just a smash mouth kind of game. And you have some little resource gathering and very light resource gathering and management of that, as well as just being a standard strategy / war game. It's a lot of fun. It was surprisingly tactical, and I had a lot of fun playing it. And you can play it solitary. You can play it against, you can play it opposed. And there's multiple ways to play it. You can just put the tanks on, put your guys down on the thing, and put your terrain down on the board, and go shoot each other up. Or you can play
those games. You look and go, "Oh, what's this?"
Yeah.
Tank.
And I think it's great for kids too. It's like, if you got a kid, you want to be getting into war games, because like I said before, you want to push a tank around. Kids will love that.
Yeah.
So it's fun. The only thing he does not have is scenarios, but that's something he wants to look at building out. Plus, he's got a whole bunch of things he wants to add into the Kickstarter, which, if he adds it, it's going to really expand the gameplay quite a bit, because he's going to add specialized units and stuff. That's going to make the game even better. So pretty neat little game.
Who's that published by?
Chiswick Games.
Chiswick.
Yeah. Or as I was said, or someone had said to me, it's actually Chiswick is how you say it in English.
Yeah, Chiswick. That's how you guys say it. Over here.
Yeah, I say it in the Yankee terms.
Yeah. Birmingham. Yeah.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Birmingham. If you're going to say it like they do in Peaky Blinders.
If you're from Birmingham.
Well, you're going to do it like they do in Peaky Blinders. It's Birmingham.
Yeah.
Have you not watched Peaky Blinders?
Yes.
Fantastic.
no,
You've not watched Peaky Blinders, Chester. Oh,
I did not. I don't no idea.
I haven't watched the last series yet.
I watched it all.
Yeah, loved it. Me and the missus, that was our sort of viewing every night.
Chester, go on Netflix and watch it now.
Yeah.
You'll thank us later.
Yeah.
What's they called?
Peaky Blinders.
Blinders? No.
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
It is fantastic. Cillian Murphy just kills it. He's just so good in that.
Yeah.
He really is.
They're just ne'er-do-wells that come up through the world of crime.
Mm-hmm.
And
right after World War One.
Tom Hardy's in it as a sort of Jewish gangster. He's modeled it on Fagin from Oliver Twist.
Yes.
Fantastic. Don't touch our women. Yes.
And it's funny how much he sounds like Bane in that.
Yeah.
I should probably just replace this thing right here. I know most of you guys know what that is. I haven't turned that on in like probably 2 years. So I
don't watch a lot, but it's a great series.
I come in, I sit down here, and if I'm not recording or playing something, I'm watching somebody else's video. I don't usually watch anything on TV. I can't even remember the last time.
Here.
Oh no! When I was sick, I did, because I couldn't sit at the chair, so I did watch a few movies and stuff. So yes, I guess I did have that on not too long ago.
You should have binged. You should have got BritBox and binged the Sharps Rifle series. Is what you should have done, and then Hornblower.
Hornblower, yeah, that's good. That's a little bit more, but it's okay. It's brilliant, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I love. I forget the actor's name. The guy who played Pellew in that. He was so good. he was Hornblower's captain, and then he became the admiral. He was really good.
I mean, there's some good stuff. Stuff, and but you've got some good stuff as well that we like.
Band of Brothers,
and all that, and Anyway, War Games. Sorry.
So our top 10 list of Netflix series.
Well, before we get into that, we of course have our This Day in History. Dun dun dun. Mo, do you have anything for This Day in History?
Did you get the memo?
Did not get the memo.
Ruff will cover for you then. Ruff is
got-
going to cover for everyone today.
Oh, right. You haven't got any either. So, good job. I did some then.
I was doing research.
Oh, all right.
You know,
All right,
this
let you
week. So,
But what we got? 1776. That's a year that you guys should know. And the Americans were defeated by the British at the Battle of Long Island. You can see the bias in this, can't you? New York, of course. The American forces, composed of Continental Line and militia regiments from several states, attempted to hold back a well-coordinated attack by the British Army. Now, to be fair, they did this. They were doing suicidal rushes at the British to keep them back, so the rest of the American forces could get away. So, to be fair, so members of the 1st Maryland Regiment repeatedly charged the numerically superior British force during the battle, allowing Washington and the rest of the American troops to escape. So there you go.
Trying to find that book. I actually have that.
I think that's a Herman Lutman game that you just read me there.
It's another.
Washington's Immortals is the book about them.
Ah, right. So
that's why when you said that, I was like, I got that book on my shelf.
Wow, that sounds like a Herman Lutman game. I think you're reading the back of a. I think you're reading the back of a box.
That's another push your luck game, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll do. This is quite fun. In 1939, the first flight of a turbojet-powered plane took place. This was the Heinkel HE-178, the world's first jet aircraft, 1939. If you go and Google it, it looks really cool as well. So that was this day. And 1945, units of the Pacific Fleet entered Japanese waters for the first time during World War II to prepare for the formal surrender of the Japanese on September the 2nd, 1945. And 1959, while off Cape Canaveral, that's your part of the world, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, yes.
Well, Florida.
It's on the other side, but yeah. Okay.
USS Observation Island makes the first shipboard launch of a Polaris missile.
Oh, really?
And the one I wanted to finish with is 1896, the start and end of the Anglo-Zanzibar War. It was the shortest war in world history. And lasted for just 38 minutes.
Wow.
However,
that should be in brief border wars too.
Yeah. However, 500 soldiers and civilians died in that 38 minutes.
Ooh, wow.
So, but that's the world's shortest war, the Anglo-Zanzibar War.
Wow.
There we go. This day in history. Stay
Pretty
tuned.
cool. So
after these messages.
So first off, lost a battle, won the war on that first thing you brought up. Second would be that I just had to bring that up. I had to throw it back.
I know, but I did say it was a heroic.
Oh no, yeah. That whole thing is still a great piece of history, not just from an American standpoint, but when you look at David versus Goliath, it's like you're talking about the Chicago Bears taking on a Pop Warner football team. I mean, it's just completely. It shouldn't have played out the way it did, but it did. But again, it also proves that throughout history, insurgencies always win. It's just the way it is because you're fighting for your home. But
you're on home turf, yeah.
Exactly. Then that short one, I mean, just think about that. 38 minutes, 500 lives lost. That's insane. Imagine if that thing had lasted a month or two.
Right.
The level of destruction.
Yeah.
So thankfully it was over in 38 minutes because that's terrible.
Yeah, I know, but it is quite interesting, the background to it as well. So I suggest, recommend that you go and look that one up.
Who's got the echo? Someone had said there's an echo.
Michael do a
yeah, a little bit of an echo. Yeah,
I don't hear an echo, so it must be on his computer.
Okay,
I hear it as well.
I think we should be fine. Nobody else is saying there's an echo, so
I heard it.
You heard it?
You're echoing. What?
Hey,
what'd you say, Rob? Huh?
Hey.
All right, our top 10 games as viewed by ourselves as if you put in 100,000 Gronards in a room and said, write me your top 10 games of all time. Again, everybody's list will be different. If your list differs than ours, that's great. That's fine. no problem. It's interesting to talk about. It's interesting to see the different views of people. Mo's already going to complain about my number one game of all time is not being an actual war game. But we will see when that happens. All right. So before we start,
not a war
I
game.
did some research, right? And if we go to, I've already shared this with our co-host, right? So this is on Board Game Geek, the top 10 war class games. So there's classifications of every game in Board Game Geek. And if they have the war tag, then they get in this category. So you can see number 1 is War of the Ring, 2nd edition. Twilight Struggles, number 2. Passagory is number 3. D-Day at Omaha Beach is number 4. Shigahara, the Unification of Japan is number 5.
Pause. Seki, say it with me. Sekigahara.
Sekigahara.
There you go. Now you got it right.
The Unification of Japan is number 5. Number 6, Triumph and Tragedy, European Balance of Power, 1936-1945 is number 6. Combat Commander Pacific is number 7. Number 8, Here I Stand, the 500th anniversary edition. Number 9 is Combat Commander Europe. And number 10 is Empire of the Sun. So this is my question for the chat, because I've already told Ruff and Mo the answer to this question. My question for the chat is, if you were to take the 10th rated war game of all time, which is Empire of the Sun, what would you think is its overall rating number?
Oh, Mr. Carter. No.
So we'll give everyone a minute to type in the chat. What do you think, without looking, without going on Board
They're
Game
going to Google it because
they're on Board Game Geek. I
They're
like Mike's.
already there. They're already cheating.
I like Mike's comment. Sexy Gahara.
There you go. Think
sexy,
nearly right.
Sexy Gaha. So if you have an idea of what Empire of the Sun, if it would be, what is its overall rank? It's number 10 in war. Let's see. Alistair says 6.7. No. And Richard Kerr says 7.5. No. 8.2. Wait, what? Did I explain this wrong?
No,
or we just have a lot of dumb people?
We're giving you their ratings. We want to know its position in the list.
We would love to know
list of war games.
If you were to take Empire of the Sun and you were to take it and place it in its overall rating.
Edward's got the right idea.
Yeah, Edward's on track.
Edward's
okay, there we go. 1100. That's a good guess. Obviously, it's not less than number 10.
It's a bit more than 10.
Oh my gosh.
Michael says he's got only 2 of the top 10 games in that list.
1875, sorry. 1350. William Byrd, 9.2.
Come on, get with the program, Will.
We're looking in the hundreds, not the top 10.
Stephen Roberts says 600. Simon Weinberger says 550. Richard Kerr says 1250. Oh my gosh. Bahasa says 12,583.
He might be right though.
Tim Zales says 1,899. All right. So I was going to give away a free game, a free copy of Pacific War to anybody that guessed it correctly. Unfortunately, you're all wrong. So sorry about your luck.
Oh dear.
Kevin Edmonds says 2,000. And William Byrd says 5,036. Well, all right. The suspense is over. If you go on Board Game Geek and you look at Empire of the Sun, you will notice in war it is ranked as number 10, but it is also the 746 overall best game according to BGG users.
So Bahasa was only off by almost 12,000 points.
Yeah.
So only about 12,000 Bahasa.
Missed it by that much.
Yeah.
just a little closer.
If
we would be playing, what's that? The game where you can't guess over. You got to guess the Price is Right. We were playing The Price is Right, and you had to guess, and you couldn't guess over, the closest winner to win would be Stephen Roberts with 600.
Close.
I think somebody. Yeah,
That's
I think
not
that
too
must
bad.
be the nearest.
Not too
Yeah.
bad. So what we're
Simon
saying
was
is,
behind him.
obviously, for the top 10 war game, there's 746 other games that are rated according to the Board Game Geek people better than that. So we're just going to say, if we were to create our list of the top 10 board games that should be rated on Board Game Geek, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, based upon the war category, what should they be? Because, to be honest, right? To be honest, if I was to look at their top 10 list, I don't think that some of these shouldn't even be in the top 10 of all time board games. I like
Sekigahara.
You got
There you
it
go.
right.
Decent
Sekigahara,
game, not
Algiers,
bad, but
Algeria.
is it the top 5 game of all time? No, not in my opinion. Triumph and Tragedy? No. Here I Stand 500th Anniversary Edition? No. I mean, some of these games aren't even in my top 10
But
list.
what's the overall? Put that back up for a second.
But
It's something that
Here I Stand is a very popular game.
Yes.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what a giveaway.
Spoiler alert. Can't show you my
Production
list.
problems.
What am I putting up? This?
Tell
The top
jury
10
to wipe
list.
that from their memory, please.
Oh,
Thank you.
The top 10 list.
Yeah. All right, this one. Sorry.
There you go. Now, does anybody notice a recurrent theme in that top 10 list? And Jester will give a copy of Pacific War to anybody who figures it out in the next 15 seconds.
I'm glad you all giving away my copy of Pacific War. That is awesome.
But it's the first thing that popped out to my attention right away. I was like, wow. And it's exactly what I thought it would be.
Has a good, Mike says it's GMT.
Bingo. Mike gets a copy of
And
Pacific War.
Alistair says World War II.
But 8 out of 10 games are GMT.
Well, this is what, I was going to mention that for my list, but yeah, because that's the feedback you get.
Yep. A lot of people jumped on that. A lot of people wanted that copy of Pacific War this time. All of a sudden, they took everything serious, right?
Yeah,
Because they knew something might have been on the line. We better take this shit serious now and not fuck off.
He's giving stuff away. Let's pay attention. Yes.
Shit. I was about ready to go, but now I'm going to have to stick around because Jester might just give away something. Holy crap.
YouTuber would do that, as a bit of clickbaiting. But
here's the top 10 of all time. This is their overall rating. We have Gloomhaven. We have Brass, Birmingham. Legacy Season 1, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, Terraforming Mars, Arc Nova, Twilight Imperium 4th Edition, which is interesting because a lot of people might even consider that a war game, but it does not, according to BGG, have the war classification on it. Star Wars Rebellion, Gaia Project, and Spirit Island. So that is, of course, the top 10 list. We're going to be replacing with our top 10 list.
So I think I got 3 out of those. Oh, wow.
Oh, blimey.
There you go. Now you got the right one.
Yeah, wrong button. Sorry.
Right, my horse is turn.
Sorry.
But I got the out of those games, I think I only played 2 or 3 ever of those games. Well, I have Rebellion, I have Terraforming Mars, because that's one of those Euros I can get to play with my wife. Rebellion is a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun, especially if you're a Star Wars geek. You're gonna definitely dig it. There you go, Terraforming Mars.
It's actually, you've been seeing me shuffling all these red back cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's for Terraforming Mars.
Nice. And then you've got
the game that doesn't.
I'm sorry. Let me put the list back up. Sorry.
No. I was just saying, Brass Birmingham is the other one that I have played, and it just kind of reminds me of why I'm not a really big Euro fan anymore.
Oh, right. I was going to ask you, is it any good? And it's is it cubes?
It's good, but it's one of those things. This is one of my problems with Euro games, and I think this is why a lot of Euro gamers like Euro games. I think this will kind of explain part of the mindset, even if they don't realize it themselves, why Euro gamers don't like war games. Euro games are puzzles. They're always going to be a puzzle, and you have to optimize your your turn to solve the puzzle by the end of the game.
In fact, when you said earlier to Ruff, you're playing a puzzle game there, or you're having problems because you don't like it because you're doing a puzzle. I was going to interrupt you and say, well, that you won't like Euro games, Ruff, because that is Euro games too.
Yeah. And then on top of that,
siege games are work. It's a puzzle. I know but
it's chaos. But there's chaos. That's the thing.
I like randomness. I like chaos. I like tanks.
And that's what the Euro gamers don't like about war games, is aside from the whole take that thing because you are going at each other, is
how
the fact that
how could you do that?
Chaos.
I've been playing so well, you've just blasted me off the map.
Yes, I had you at a 4-1. How did you get one of my guys? Because that's war. War is chaos.
Because I threw a 6.
Yeah. I mean, there's always that. Real life is always going to be different than, like, the Eurogamers like the puzzle thing, but if they actually ran those businesses for real, they'd find out that they're nothing like their Euro games are.
Yeah.
No, not at all. All right, for our number 10, if you guys want to type in the chat what you would personally put as your number 10. Again, Mo's not really ranking his in
I'm
1 to 10.
Mine.
He's just,
I'm not. Sorry.
Ruff's not going to do his. I will do mine just because I'm organized and prepped for the show, like a proper host would do.
Here we go. It's not going to let me forget.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover a few things that didn't make my list, but I thought might be on other people's lists, maybe not. So I'm going to show you what I would have as my honor. These are honorable mentions by ID Jester. Let's just put it that way. These are my honorable mentions. Fire in the Lake, Empire of the Sun, Squad Leader, and For the People. Those are all games that I thought a lot of people would probably rank pretty high, and also didn't make my list. So that's my honorable mentions. Mo, Ruff, do either of you have any honorable mentions?
I would. Good. I got to look at mine and figure out if any of them are honorable.
Things like OSS, and what's the other one that Kev likes? Is that OSS?
You mean OCS?
OCS, rather. I didn't put those down because I know they're popular, but I don't know how popular they are generally in the world of wargaming. And things like Great Campaigns of the American Civil War, and even Great Battles. I know they're very popular, but again, I'm not sure if people would vote for it because I don't know. So they're my couple of honorable mentions. It's a forerunner of the CIA. I didn't mean to say that. Anyway.
So I don't have any honorable mentions. I just have the 10. Even in the 10, there's at least one that could be considered an honorable mention. Because it's not everyone. I think some people laugh, and I know the number because I just looked it up on BGG is low for war games as well as board games in general. But there's a reason why I have it in my top 10.
I'll tell you what, Mo, let's just go ahead and start with you. If you want to give us one that you would recommend in your top 10. Again, we're not doing it by 10-1 or Ruff and Mo aren't. They're just naming games that they think would be in there somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, I would say Tactics 2 to start things off, for the simple fact that it's not that it's a great game, but it's more than likely what inspired most of wargamers our age to play. That, Gettysburg, all those earlier games, Luftwaffe as well, games like that people played when they were younger, and that's what got the bug bit on you for war games, and that's what got you on this lifelong journey. And that's why I would put it in there, mostly for nostalgia. More so than quality of game itself. It's not that it's a bad game. It's just that games have evolved so much from that game. But that's what started off. Tactics started off, and then Tactics 2. So I'd say, being that is our birthing as wargamers, I would have to have that in the top 10.
That is a really good call, Mo. And Tim agrees with that 100%. He got to thumb up on that. And I think that's a great call. I'm going to talk about that when it gets to my turn. And Ruff, what do you got as one of your top 10 games?
Again, the thing is, yes, I've put some things from the past, but I didn't put too many things from the past because a lot of people play Tactics. A lot of people have played these games I might mention, but there's a lot of people who haven't. So we need games that will inspire new comers to the thing. But I think it's got to be on the list. I think ASL has got to be
ASL.
Definitely not a beginner game.
No, but we're not
It's an intro. It's an intro to Wargame.
Don't you
Yeah,
try
no,
and
just-
at me, Mo.
Just laughing. It's like
Yeah,
because
no,
we were talking
honestly,
about
we're not
earlier
doing it.
beginning
No,
games.
we're not doing, are we? Have I got confused again? Mother? No, ASL. I think, yeah, again,
Right.
people played it squad leader into ASL. So, yeah.
Yep. All right. Good call there. My number 10, or let's just say one of the games that I would recommend that's in the top 10 is currently sitting at number 19 in the war classification on BGG. Overall, its rank is 294th, and that is going to be Hannibal, Rome versus Carthage. I think that is a really popular game. It's also kind of a crossover game where you can get some of the regular board gamers to play it. So I've seen it, a lot of it being played at cons with war gamers and non-war gamers, and I think it's a very popular game. What do you guys think?
No, I agree. It's popular.
Yeah. This is the problem, isn't it? You know, I didn't look up anything, and I'm based my list on what I've heard.
That's
from
fine.
YouTubers.
That's absolutely
Like
fine.
So,
it's absolutely fine.
yeah, good
It's
game.
absolutely fine. Like I said, we're all going to go about this a different way.
We want different lists.
We're gonna. Yeah. We want everyone's opinions and thoughts, and it's all good. That's why we want the chat to be involved as well. Because
then we'll ignore you and make our own one.
We can prove the chat is wrong if they don't agree with us. So, all right. Mo, how about another one off your list there?
Well, I'm not going to repeat what Ruff just said because he is right. ASL was also on my list. It's got a very hardcore following of cultists. I mean, gamers.
Yes,
so it has to be on the top 10 list. I would say probably DAC 2 or Case Blue for OCS because those are both sought after out of print games and everybody loves them. And they're just the OCS system. They would be representative of the OCS system, which is very popular with grognards. So I would have to say I made the call on DAC 2 over Case Blue, but you could do DAC 2 / Case Blue.
I was going to put Case Blue on my list, but then I changed it to an honorary mention of OCS in general.
Yeah. Sure.
Because I'm not sure if that's going to be. That's a very big game. Very specialized people will play that. People have got a lot of time, a lot of space. So but good call.
Yep, absolutely good call. I might say something about somebody's choice, but it's not to put them down or their choice down. You have a different view than I have a different view, and everyone has a different view, and that's great. And that's why we have Mo on the show, because he likes modern day stuff. I don't like modern day stuff, but we get a different opinion, and we get to see how other people view things. Yeah. So, all right, Ruff, what would you say? It's another one on your list.
Going back in time again, and I hear so many people talk about this game and how brilliant it is, and it's called Flat Top.
Flat Top.
Everybody, Stigler is a fan. Kev, I think, is a fan. I mean, it's a 2-player game. It's a double blind system again. So it's not for everyone, but it would probably be on a list somewhere, if not in the top 10, because of the things I hear about it. There's not a bad word said about it. So that's why it's on my list.
Absolutely. Great game. And very popular game as well. And the reprints, and of course, the big wide tall box with the Japanese flag on it. That's just starking awesome.
With the
you
pilot,
can see that on a table from a mile away and go, "Ooh, what's that? Yeah. That looks pretty cool." Yeah, I love that. So good call there. All right, one of ones that I think should be in the top 10. In fact, it was my number 9. Is currently on Board Game Geek as the 89th best war game. Wow. So I'm like some weirdo that's thinking this one is like important. Its overall ranked is 1,025.
What's a good one then?
But boom, boom, boom. Edward says the same thing.
Oh, you've got
Ambush.
Okay. Yeah.
From 1983 Ambush. And look at that. Edward says, I was funny. I was waiting for somebody to, looking at the comments, and I saw Edward post his comment. I'm like, well, that's going to be the next on the list. So that was good timing, Edward. Good call, my friend.
But unfortunately, I don't think we'll see a reprint unless someone else does it besides John Butterfield.
He said, you'd have to drag me over hot coals before I consider doing it.
Yeah. The whole paragraph thing.
It drove him mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a good call by everyone in the chat. And I thought, it's not my cup of tea, but I think it's a lot of Wargamers' cup of tea.
Oh, it's good fun. You can play it and then put it away for 5 years and play it again.
Right. And it's, I've been around since 1983, and people talk about it like it's,
it's the Grail. They have like Holy Grail, isn't it? One of the Holy Grail games.
Right, it's like a Holy Grail game.
And it's on my list, so I won't mention it again. So
you can mention it again. That's not why we're not. All right.
I'll mention it at the end then. I'm just coming down the list. So.
Mo, you got another one to
yeah, I would say, where are we at here?
Well, I've got 10.
Did that? Oh yeah, no, I was looking at my list because you've mentioned ASL, so I was like, yeah, okay, I had ASL on my list too, but I went past that one instead, and I did DAC 2. Battle for Germany from SPI, because
going back in time again. Yep.
You have both players playing both sides, which I think is pretty cool. Similar to what like Peloponnesian War is, when you play one side and then you flip it and you play the other side.
Right.
So this one, you're playing both the Allies and the Germans. So at the same time, you're playing both sides, which I think is pretty cool.
Germans or something?
Yes, you're both playing both sides. So even though you might be the Allies, you're playing the Allies and Germany. And you're the German, you're playing Germany and the Allies. So you actually move different units. So you're playing offense and defense at the same time, which is kind of a mind screw to a degree. And I think it's kind of neat. So that I would say would have to be in a top 10 list.
I think somebody mentioned that in the chat very early on.
Did they?
And you're playing both Germans and Germans.
Mike says Mike ties for his number one.
Yeah.
Wow.
number one.
Oh,
That's
wow.
good. Wow.
Great minds.
And Ambush could be translated into a computer game. That would not be a bad idea either.
That would be awesome.
And then you can update that with just,
with some good graphics.
Algorithms.
And,
good algorithms. Yeah.
So Nathan's only able to join. Where you been, Nathan? Come on.
I know. Have you got a note from your mother?
Right.
Otherwise, detention.
Oh, Ruff, what do you got for another one on their top 10 that we should have?
Coming up to date with these, I hear so much, and I've got a few, you've got a few, is the Mike Simonich 40X series.
Okay.
Has fantastic following. Everybody, well, most people, I've not heard a bad word about them. If I had to pick one to go on the list, well, I had to narrow it down to two. It would be Normandy 44 / Salerno 43, because Salerno coming onto the scene has maybe opened up this series to a lot more people, because it's a nice small map. There aren't many counters, so it would be a good introduction to that series. So I think that would be on it one way or the other, and probably more than once, with the myriad of games Mr. Simonich has brought out. So yeah, 40X.
I think it's a great call. I was this close to putting Normandy 44 on the list because I wanted to include one. I thought a lot of people would vote for one, but I couldn't decide on one. So
sorry, I meant to say
together. Putting them all together is the best way to solve that problem.
I meant to say Holland 44, not Normandy 44. Sorry, beg your pardon. Holland 44, I think, is a more popular one with Salerno. So beg your pudding.
That's okay.
Nice.
Had a brain fart.
My next game on the list is its overall war rating is number 21.
See, he's looked all these up. I didn't, because I didn't want to be influenced.
And its overall rating is 1,178. I think this is a really good game that a lot of people enjoy to talk about, and that is Command and Color Ancients.
Nice.
Good call.
I think there's a lot of really good expansions.
Have you been looking over my shoulder when you've been making your list?
I'm sure. I think, with the variety and the expansions, a lot of gameplay, simplistic, but yet complex. I think it's one of these games that a lot of people would vote on. Is hey, we should have this in our top 10.
And you've got the solo helper thing with it now as well, so there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Which you've played and enjoy. I've yet to do it, yet to play it with the solo bot.
Well, see, I have that in my list. I don't have Ancients in my list. What I did was I had the Borg system, Command and Colors, just that whole series. Take your pick of game, whichever one it is, because
the 40X,
yeah, it's just a great system. And one of the games that somebody had mentioned in the chat was talking about the American Heritage games, Battle Cry, Skirmish, Dogfight, all those. Battle Cry is one that is probably the simplest of the Command and Color system, and it has the miniatures and everything, which is really nice looking on the table. Yeah. So that one would be a great starter war game for anybody. But so would any of the Command and Colors games. Even the more complex ones would be still, approachable for a non-war gamer because it's not a difficult system to understand.
And like James,
hard to tell you what you can do.
There, I got it as well to try and introduce my son to having a go. And he goes, oh, all right then, Romans. All right. All right. Yeah.
Right.
So fingers crossed. That and Bismarck.
What do you have another one, Bo, you want to throw in the mix? Oh, you're muted.
Well, sorry, hit the wrong button.
Sorry.
I would say Vietnam 65 to 75 because it really captures, it's the only game so far that everybody pretty much universally agrees captures the overall feel of the Vietnam War, which is a very difficult conflict to capture. Not just you can do operational, but this gives operational as well as the political aspect as well. It's up there,
hey, Tony. How you doing, Tony? He was going out to dinner with his wife and family, and then they're going to go watch a play tonight. So
how dare he miss the war room?
I know, right? But it's good to see that.
But it's good
he's
to see
having a nice meal with the wife, so that'll get him some brownie points for next week.
Yeah. He's banking them. Yeah.
Ruff, do you have another suggestion for our top?
I do. It's another big series of games which I'm a big fan of it, and I know lots of people are, and I assume it would be on the list. It's the GBOH series, Great Battles of History, and I reckon one of the top ones, possibly. I mean, I've got a few of them. I reckon the one that might be on the list is SPQR, rather than some of the more obscure ones or Cataphract, even though that's got its and that's great. That's got its fans. But yeah, SPQR again, because there's chunks of stuff in it. There's a huge amount of playability, and it's a well loved and very good system. Quite crunchy. So,
good call. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a great game, great system. I actually had that box out of my table this week because I'm like, I should learn this sometime. I need to just start doing it. I just need to.
And in SPQR, there's a little introductory game they get you to, you can set up. Tony did it on his channel as well. Yeah. So that's a great way to learn it.
So I know Edward, I think he's got like a link right into my computer because the next game on my list, is Wargame 24th ranked. It's 686 overall. That is going to be, guess what?
Tank Duel.
Is it Tank Duel?
No, up front.
One of the greatest Kickstarters of all time.
Was it? No. Yeah. So, I think this is another one of these games that people talk about with such high reverence and such, I can remember the time and this, that, and the other thing, and just loving every moment of their time with it. I think a lot of people, and that's two in a row for Edward. If he gets the next one, we're going to have to.
That's a bit freaky. He's got his spies out.
Right. I'm going to have to. Oh, he won't get the next one.
If he gets the next one, he gets a copy of Pacific War.
Yeah.
He gets the next one. I'm going to give him a copy.
Look,
here it is. Wait a minute.
Huge game away. Look. Who's next? Is it you, Jeff?
Yeah, it's me. All right. While he's fishing out his copy. Oh,
there it is. Still in the shrink.
It's still in the shrink.
On the table.
I can't believe that you picked that up without wearing a belt.
I know, right?
Yeah,
For lifting
bend
up,
your
you
knees.
hurt your back.
Bend your knees.
I just pulled my
With the
neck.
knees, not with the back.
So here it is. It's on the
Sorry,
table. It's ready to go.
I would
Edward,
say,
don't mess up. I'm just saying, don't mess up.
I would say take your pick, just kind of like you were saying with the 40X series. This one is a series of games. They've actually got 2 series of games that are very similar, but I'm going to go with one. Would be the 1985 series from Thin Red Line Games. You've got Under an Iron Sky, Deadly Northern Lights, and the Sacred Oil game, which all 3 of them are just huge, awesome games and a lot of fun to play. And they're nice and groggy and definitely Next War inspired. So it harkens back to that. So you've got another strong game right there for people to get into. And I know I'm biased. It's modern. So
I know, but don't you think they're, again, very sort of specialized
They
to
are.
the general public? They do a
Yes.
limited run. They're quite expensive.
Yes.
So you'd think they'd still be on the list?
I would say because, well, Case Blue would be on the list, and Case Blue is out of print and very expensive.
I nearly put that on. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's like not even acquisition. And that actually helps with the mystique of the game, too. Just like with Case Blue, it's like,
I'm not knocking it.
it's the grail. No, but I mean, it's like the grail thing. It gets it kind of it gets elevated even more. Oh, that's the game I wish I had. Then people would get it and never play it.
If I won the lottery, I wouldn't say no. Let's put it that way. You know,
Right.
Exactly.
Me neither. I agree. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
What do you got, Ruff?
Well, a game that I've got a great fondness for, not for everybody, but I think it's made such an impact on the wargaming world that GMT panicked and brought out a reprint as soon as they could, and that's Atlantic Chase, because I reckon it will be on the list because it's so different, and people who get it and go, "This is fantastic." So I know I've played it and I know I love it, and it's I think one of the only sort of games that are on the list that I've played and loved. But I think it will be on there because it's such a. I know it's not for you, Mo, and other people, but I think it's more popular enough for it to be on the list because it's innovative. I can't even say it. It's quite different. So,
it is. It wouldn't come on my list because I just don't think enough people would have voted for it. But it's very popular.
It's all very subjective, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Right, it is absolutely. We talked about
we're
that.
all
like
our bias.
Tactics 2 wouldn't have made my list just because I don't think a lot of people, like the newer, younger generation, wouldn't have played that game.
Sure,
and so they wouldn't have voted for it. But I can honestly see enough people voting for it. It could be on the list. So there is no right and wrong answer other than Edward. If he gets it wrong, he doesn't get a free copy of Pacific War, and it doesn't look like he's going to. So
he's keeping quiet now, isn't he?
Yeah, looks like he's just lost.
All right, put your hand on the mouse and get ready to click onto the picture, and then we'll say, okay, 3, 2, 1, post your guess for him.
3, 2, 1. Come on.
3, 2, 1. Post it.
This one is Wargame mode. So number 13, its overall rank is 422. I hate to even put this on the list considering the other one that I had on the list was Command and Color Ancients, but I thought this one was different enough and a different topic and brings a whole different crowd in. That is, of course, Command and Color Napoleonics.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think having Napoleonics super popular, but it's completely different than the Ancients. I debated about whether or not I should put both of them on the list. Should I just group all the Command and Colors together? The problem with putting all the Command and Colors together is to really, I mean, that is such a different. It would take a lot of the games out and combine them into one. You know, it's kind of like, oh well, it's like just saying OCS, right?
Just GBOH.
OCS the West. And I thought, well, I should probably try to separate them. So, anyways, some people love my choice. E4 Airman, thank you. Yeah, and besides,
Edward was saying B-17 Queen of the Sky. That's what his pick was.
Oh, B-17 Queen of the Sky. That's
a strong pick, but unfortunately, he does not get to complete Jester Bingo. Exactly.
Not get Jester Bingo.
But the interesting thing about that is because you've got target for today, target for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
even though B17 has a lot of fondness in people's hearts of a certain age because that's, they played it to death.
I also tried to do like, I didn't want like 10 World War II games, right? I was trying to think, if I'm a war gamer and I'm in a room, right? I might not like World War II. I might like Napoleonics, or I might like ancient battles. So I wanted to have a wide variety of games, even though they might not be as popular. And I was thinking, well, what is the most popular? What is the most popular Napoleonics game out there? I thought Command and Color Ancients Napoleonics, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But that's why I chose it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was saying about the B17 is that the Target for Today and Target for Tonight don't seem as popular as B17 was in its day, which was huge. But even though I love the games, I've got them both, and people love it, it doesn't seem as big as everybody mentions B17, Queen of the Skies, but that's Target for Today with knobs on.
Well, I think one of the reasons is because back then when those games came out, it was
so different.
Well, not only so different, and they were the first of their kind. The other thing is, cause now you see like Target for Today, Target for Tonight. It's like, oh, that's already been done. That was B17, Queen of the Sky. It's inspired by it and stuff. But the other thing too is going back to what Jester said earlier about how popular war games were back in the day. When you bought a game, you were buying a war game. Yeah. Then they came out with like Operation and those type of games, which were, Don't Break the Ice. Those were the hobby games to get. The thing about that is you have back then more interest in war games. People were concentrating on them more. There was a wider print run. Now you have a smaller print run, and then you have multiple breakdowns of the games. You have Target for Today, Target for Tonight. You have Interceptor Ace, all these things that Greg Smith is doing, stuff like that. So you have a lot of these games that are inspired by that, Hunters, all that stuff. So you've got a mishmash of different things. Now you don't have the print runs that those games had. B17 Queen of the Skies had a larger print run.
On Hill's print runs, they dominated the market.
Yes.
Thousands.
Right.
So everybody was buying that game because they were doing a large print run. Now, a print run of 500 to 1,500 or something like that, you're going to have a smaller number of customers, but you're going to have a wider variety of those games.
Right. Do you have any more, Mo?
Yeah. Being that you opened the door on Napoleonics, I'm going to go with La Bataille. That is a really popular series that people really love that are into Napoleonics.
Yeah.
And I find it kind of interesting how they can't determine which rule book to play by.
It's the posh man's Napoleon or posh person's Napoleonics game. Which rule are we using tonight, dear? I don't know. We'll use
So there must be something there. If they can't even decide which rule book to use and they're still playing it, there's got to be something there. So I would put that on the list. Absolutely.
Good call. I know that's very, very popular for Napoleonics. Mm-hmm. All right, Ruff, what do you got? Anything more?
Most of mine are World War II. And again, you can't get away from your biases, but also I think that's one of the most popular genres anyway. So I've got Ambush on the list, which you've mentioned.
Okay.
I've got Commands and Colors, Ancients, Napoleonics. I didn't put down a specific one because people like their own thing. Some people like Napoleonics, Ancients. Right. You've got the Samurai. And even the American Revolution ones, and Memoir 44. It's all that sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah. But one that hasn't been mentioned, well, it's on actually, because you pulled it up, it's actually on the Board Game Geek list. It's Combat Commander. I think that would be on the list of top 10 war games just because everybody says, why aren't you reprinting it? I can't get it. Oh, I've got it. It's a fantastic game. So that's on my list. Yeah,
that is my number 4 game actually.
That's actually on the top 10 list.
When you put it up.
I think if there's any game that Board Game Geek did that should be on the top 10, Combat Commander is one of it. I mean, it is huge game. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's just infantry, randomness and
cards.
And the cards. But he's going to hate my next game then. My next game is actually Wargame number 3, so it was on the list as well. overall ranking is 193. So it's only the 193rd best board game of all time. This is a 1999 game by Ted Racer.
Oh, it's on my list. Go on. Yeah.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah, me too.
There you're gonna. I figured we have to include as a glory.
How many reprints does that
Wargame
have?
list. I believe that one would make the top 10 of anybody's game.
Yeah, how many reprints? Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
yeah, at least 4 or 5 games there. Yeah, and I think including a card-driven game, a World War I game, and something as iconic as Paths of Glory. It would be on any Wargamers top 10 list, I believe. So that's my next game on the list.
Yeah, Nerds put leader. The reason I didn't put any leader games on mine is because I'm biased, because I would have put them all on. So and Panzer and everything I've played. So I'll try to keep away from that. But you're quite right. They might be on there. Sorry, Mo.
No, I was going to say the funny thing is you brought up something that I have it on my list. Panzer. I would not. I've not played Panzer. I don't have Panzer. I have MBT, and I've still not played it yet. I know. How have I not played that game? But I just haven't sat down to play it. But because of Panzer, we have MBT, and it's an incredibly popular game. So there's obviously something there. And it has how many expansions? You bought them all.
I've got them all. Yeah, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Game. So I would say that would have to be there.
I haven't got the expansions yet. I'm waiting I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to order anything from the GMT sale. Phew. And then I saw all the expansions for MBT and
Yeah, it's a
got to have more.
All right, Ruff, you got any more to add to the list?
Well, we've got Paths of Glory, which I mentioned, and the other one, which I think would be on there because it's been so popular as a crossover game, and it's David Thompson's and the other chap, Undaunted. Is that right? Undaunted?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that came that close to get on the list.
It's a lot of stick from people saying, oh, but if it brings, if people have fun playing it, it's going to be on the list. I think it would be. Yeah, it's a great introduction game to people crossing over, but it's popular. They brought out 2 or 3 expansions, so it must be.
Yep.
And a solo bot.
Great crossover game. Good deck building mechanics. A lot of fun. You could get a lot of people to play that, and I think they would have a great time. I think it's a really solid game. Not my cup of tea, but I think a lot of people's cup of tea. I think it's a very popular.
Dwayne said no American Civil War games. I did give an honorable mention to GBACW and GCACW, but I'm not sure if they would be high up on the list, but I could be wrong. It's just my opinion.
Tony says he played Undaunted with the daughter on Wednesday. Great and lots of fun.
There you go.
Yep. And that's interesting. Dwayne does mention no Civil War games. So I got a couple more here, but some of them were already mentioned. My number 4 was Combat Commander. Number 3 was ASL, which we talked about. I just lumped ASL into literally too. ASL. So yeah. And all the expansions and that, of course.
Because you can't pick one.
My number 1, I think, is going to be very controversial because, again, it goes back to, is it a war game? Is it not a war game? I know some views are not going to be very accepting of this, but
you like conflict.
It is strategy game, war game number 2, and overall rank of 14. I am going to put...
No, it's not a war game.
No, it's not. No.
Twilight Struggle on the list as a war game. So
insurgency game, would you say?
Not to add Twilight Struggle. You don't need to, but I included it as a war game. I included the war game.
It's on the list of war games.
It's one of those ones that fall in the hole for me. Is it make it in the list? Does it not make it in the list? I decided to add it because it is, if you look at the GMT newsletters they send out every month,
mm-hmm.
And on the very bottom of it, it talks about most popular or most best-selling games of the month or best-selling games since August or whatever. It's always either first, second, or third. So if there's a lot of people buying it, it's really popular. So the question is, does it?
That makes it even more difficult to be a war game if everybody.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It does it classify as a war game?
I don't think so, but I think it would make the list.
It would make the list just because of the popularity of it, and wargamers.
They see a soldier on the front of it, and they think, "Oh, it's insurgency." Not, but then
so
are you thinking Labyrinth?
If you
the Labyrinth
don't say it's a war game, why do you say it's not a war game? Because it doesn't cover conflict.
There's no war in it. It's literally just political. It's a political struggle game. It's area control, and it's card driven. There's no combat in it.
It's a coin game, isn't it?
No, it's different in a coin game, but it's just area control. You're basically just putting influence in and taking influence out and playing the cards for your operations and all that stuff. To do that, you're not actually fighting a war. Now, technically, if you want to say you roll a dice to see, okay, well, this war card happens. Roll a dice. If you win, then you take influence out. It's like that's incredibly abstract.
You're playing a different type of war, aren't you? You're playing
it's Cold War.
Counterinsurgency and trying to spies and all that thing, is it?
Yeah. I was going to say, you keep talking like counterinsurgency and stuff, and I was like, are you thinking Labyrinth or are you thinking...
I'm probably thinking of Labyrinth.
Because you said soldier on the cover. I'm like,
I know. Soldier. I don't play.
Twilight Struggle as a spy.
It's got a shadowy figure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can do some coups.
I've not played either.
You can cause problems in the back, and technically there isn't any war pieces in it, but
no, I mean, it's nothing. It's not knocking the game. It's just saying that it's not a war game. It's a political struggle or a political game, just like what's the one I'm thinking of? Like Churchill. That's not a war game. It's a political game. So, but it's popular with wargamers because it's a historical board game. So that's the thing.
What did you say about like the coin series?
Those are, to me, they're really Euros. They're not war games. They're Euros with a little bit of combat mixed in, because you're just putting in your cubes. You have kind of a formula. You roll dice to see what happens. So it's not driven to be a war game.
You've got to work out what's best to do, and it's a historically themed game.
Yeah, it's a historical board game. No, I mean, it's definitely a historical board game. Now you have
there was war going on in some of them.
Yes, yeah.
Conflict.
Pendragon is probably the groggiest of them all when it comes to being more like a war game. But I would say they're more they're a historical board game more than a war game. Now, some people are going to disagree because they're incredibly popular, but that's, I think, where the crossover potential is for that, because you're going to get Euro players to play it because they feel more at home. They see cubes and it's like, oh, I put some in, I take some out. I know this.
Hey, I'm playing a war game. Look at me.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, it's a war game. It's like, well, not really, but hey.
Well, shut up, shush. Let me get on with it. And then
exactly.
Bring them in.
Get them into it. And then, but like I said, that's the parallel between historical games and war games. So hopefully we can get people like that to try out some Hex and Counter games. No, Soldier Postman's Universe is a tactical game. That's a war game.
Yeah, all those. I mean, Pavlov's House and
it's just a war game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very abstract war game. It's one of the first war games, if not the first war game.
Well,
it's an incredibly abstract game, but it's
it's an ancient game.
And I find it interesting that you say yes to chess.
Mm-hmm.
But which chess is basically the same thing as Twilight Struggle in the core mechanic of it's an area control game where you're moving pieces around and you're adding and subtracting pieces from the board.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what you do in Twilight Struggle.
But you're actually having conflict in chess. Very abstract. It's very abstract. And it really, like, the reason why I would classify it as a war game is that's really kind of pretty much the way it started, was like a war game. For training and things like that. And at least to the best of my understanding, if someone else knows better than that, then definitely let me know, because I'm all about finding out more information about it. But I've never played chess, but I know how.
You never played chess?
Mm-mm. Really? I've kind of parted around with it once or twice.
It makes you think ahead.
Yeah, you're thinking ahead, and then you have to, I need to use this to take that out. So I can have these guys take this out to take that.
My plan, it's a puzzle. in that respect.
It's a puzzle for sure, but one of the reasons why I've never gotten into it is because kind of like the card games, there's a playbook to it. And if you can study the moves, there's like a finite number of moves, and it's not easy to do, don't get me wrong, but there's kind of a playbook to it. There's no chaos. The chaos is the other player. What are they going to do?
Yeah, they're going to mess up. Which is why my brother was a chess player, and I tried it, and I couldn't do it. I much prefer backgammon because you've got skill and chance in it because you've got dice, and so you got a playbook. You know what's the best sort of moves, but you've got odds in it as well. You have to work out the odds of throwing dice. And actually, backgammon is much older than chess.
See, and the only reason I would put chess in that category is just due to the fact historically. But aside from that, not in my opinion would I say it's a war game, but it's very abstract. It wouldn't fit in my personal classification, but as far as like the overall definition, yeah, I'd say it probably does fit.
But if people think it's a war game, that's fine too.
True.
We don't.
Yeah, like
fighting in the war room.
Said, this discussion could go on for 6 hours,
18 hours.
We still wouldn't get anywhere. So yeah, a lot of people will say yes, a lot of people would say no. So that's all I had. Mo, Ruff, did you guys have any more?
I think that's it, really. Yeah, I mean, lots I could have mentioned, but then I would have gone down the road of I like it. You know, like the leader games, BGG, and other bits and pieces. So I stepped away from that. But I'm glad you mentioned Panzer.
Yep. You had to get that in there. I was thinking of you when I was putting it down. I was like, I bet you Ruff's going to put that down, but I'm going to put it anyway.
I can't because it's one I love, you know, and they've got, oh, you like that. That's why you put it on.
Then another one I did have, which I'll just mention real quick, was the Fleet series, because that one's another very popular one. And that there's really not a tremendous amount of naval games. And then to tie into that, I would also say Downtown, which is another popular air game, which brought us Red Storm. So there's a couple more.
That's true. We did not add. I don't think any of us added an air game in.
Well, Red Storm. Because I've played it, of course. But again, is it that popular? Because it's quite crunchy. It is
crunchy, but it's crunchy. It also covers an aspect of war games that really is not gamed that much.
It's the only one that is, you know. So is it going to be that popular? So that's why I left it off. I
just put it in there just for the groggy people would put it in there. Plus, Downtown is another one that's out of print, and people want it because it's out of print.
Yeah, Downtown. You always hear about people talking about Downtown.
Yeah.
And the other one, there's the Israeli one as well in the series. I can't remember.
I can't think of it right now. Someone in the chat will
tell us.
Yeah, Mike Anthony, he'll get on this.
Yeah.
Or Craig, they're both really good. Smarter than all of us put together, I guess. But the other thing is interesting. Civil War games didn't get mentioned by anybody.
I had thought of the Civil War, the old SBI game, but being that I'm not really big in ACW myself, I kind of just was like, I'll come back to that, and I just didn't put it in my list.
Same here. I was going to put GVACW because that's the series I've decided I'm going to put my foot into, plant my feet, rather than the MMP campaign. So, but then again, I haven't heard a lot of people that like it, but I haven't heard a lot of people. So there must be thousands of people play it, but I haven't heard it, and I only went from my own personal feedback that I've heard over the years. You know, the 3 years I've been playing.
I like Craig. Does anybody else want to see a mashup of Downtown with Downton Abbey?
It would be very polite. And what are you doing upstairs?
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
Yeah.
Polite airstrikes. That's a good one.
Chess is an expression of the apothecary. Even though the king is the most important piece, in the end, the fate of the king is all that matters.
Well, yeah, you're quite right. That's why it's
true.
It's
Victor, I was just going to say, because I have, of course, Pacific War. I was just trying to think of the things that maybe we didn't add to the list. I don't think I included any Pacific in mine either. But Victory in the Pacific, very classic, awesome.
Nope.
Awesome design game.
I think David's correct. He said Victory Games. I was probably incorrect saying SPI.
Oh, yeah, that's the one they've revamped now through GMT. Is that the same one, the old Victory Games one?
No. You're thinking of Vietnam. Vietnam 65, 75.
What the American Civil War game from?
Is there? I didn't know.
Is it Simonich? The Simonich game came out last year. You're going to make
I
me
can't
look
remember who
it up,
designed that now. Atlantic Storm. That was already mentioned, Edward.
Yes, Atlantic Storm was. I think somebody mentioned. Didn't you mention?
No, that's Atlantic Chase.
Oh no, that's right. Atlantic Chase, not Atlantic Storm. Yeah. That's the card game. Yeah.
Oh yes, that's the card game. Yeah,
that's a pretty neat game. Actually, Lock and Load came out, and
of course we only have 10 spots too. So I mean,
so we're now at 100 spots.
Right, we only have 10 spots to fill out.
Yeah, I'm getting confused. It was the U.S. Civil War by Simonich. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a U.S. Civil War by Simonich, and the other one was
the old Civil War one by Victory Games. Yeah,
or Victory. Who was now? Was it Eric Lee Smith?
Yes,
might have been the designer of that one.
Yes.
But someone in the chat can correct me because they already corrected me. And it wasn't SPI. I had SPI on the brain as Victory. So
don't you hate it when they do that?
No, that's great. That's great because you get these things in your brain, especially when you're trying to remember a list, and you're like, okay, I kind of wrote it.
I mean, we can look and say, oh, look at all the games that's been shipped, and everyone has.
And we've all got them. Have you got yours yet? I haven't got. The only ones I haven't got is the Fire on the Lake stuff.
There's Iron Storm. Who was talking about Iron Storm? Was that
no,
that's Tony last week?
You've ordered it. It's a card-driven game.
Yes, I did order it.
I've ordered the American Revolution Tri-Pack.
Tony talking about that last week, maybe. Don't forget to pre-order your Tank Duel Pack 2. We got the CGDG. You're not a big card-driven Mo, are you? You don't like games with a lot of cards. Too much randomness, I guess, huh?
Well, no, it's also not very solo friendly, is it?
Well, no, I'll play CDGs to a degree. The thing I don't like about CDGs is what I do like is when there's cards involved that can affect the way the game goes. What I don't like is where there's hands of cards that you can play, and especially if you can somehow kind of combo them up. They can be fun to a degree, but then they wear thin for me because then after you play a game so many times, like Twilight Struggle is a perfect example of this. Deck mastery is the entire game. If you understand the deck, you win the game because then you'll know the pattern. You'll be like, okay, here's the cards. Okay, I need to put influence here, influence here, influence here. All right, he's playing that card. I'm playing this card. Okay, and now mentally you're counting cards. You know which cards are out, and that's great for people who like that. That's great, but for me, I'm like, I want the chaos. I want the reaction. I want your light on your feet thinking, because to me, that's more fun. That's more enjoyable to me. Other people like to kind of find their path, know the puzzle, and try to maximize their steps to the puzzle.
The road. And that's fun for them. And that's, give me a random events chart any day.
Yes.
I'd love it.
Chaos and randomness.
Yeah. Oh, my foot blown off. Oh, okay.
Damn it.
Damn.
No, none of us mentioned Wilderness War, although I think that would be an honorable mention for me. I don't believe it'd be in the top 10 list. I think it's a decent, really good. I mean, there's just hundreds of games that we could all mention and say, oh, I think this is really good. But obviously, when we're talking about the top 10, we have to kind of narrow down just the top best of the best, I guess.
And again, even though we're trying to be non-biased, it's still very, very, very subjective because of your influences, and you try not to be influenced. So
sure.
You ask another three people. So
everyone will have a different. One common thread, and I know Mo, you talked about this before we went on the air, is a lot of these games are on the GMT site, and either let's see, how do I put this? Either for right or wrong, a lot of people would vote for a lot of GMT games. Is that because we think they're just have a lot of the best games, or do you think it's just popularity? Do you think it's just
Well, Well, name recognition, number one. Everybody knows
name
GMT.
recognition, right? Yeah.
But they don't know, the people who know GMT will know them because their games are on shelves pretty much everywhere, game stores and things like that. How many MMP games do you see on a game store shelf? Not many.
Right.
You're not going to see a lot of those out there. Lock and Load, same thing.
Compass, Decision,
Legion.
all the
Speaking
other
of Lock and Load, David's in the house.
Speaking of that, did we mention his name 3 times? Did we say it 3 times? Is that what we said?
I think somebody called out his name too many
And
times.
speaking of upfront, Point Blank is going to be available here very soon.
Yes.
So, not an upfront, but similar along the same line. So if you liked upfront, you want to check out Point Blank.
Yeah.
That one is a game that you're going to have a belt on though to pick up.
Yeah.
Because it weighs like 70,000
pounds.
Or
it's like Lock and Load tactical with cards,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
looking
exactly
at
what
it
it
down
is.
here on the floor, and I'm like, man,
Forward to it.
I think I would break the chair if I tried to pick it up.
Bend your knees. Bend your knees.
I tried that with Pacific War, and I seriously pulled a muscle in my neck. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to GMT for a second, name recognition. Plus, they have they've had a big growing catalog that's been around for 30 years, and they were the go-to company in the 90s when things started to dry up in the 80s. They kind of were the ones that carried the Wargame community for a while.
Off the mat, GMT rose up through the ranks, and and have been with it, and thank goodness,
Right, and I think in maybe 20 years from now, our list would be completely different because we'd have a whole different view of things. And
20 minutes, it'll be different.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Actually, Point Blank should stop shipping Monday.
Nice.
They're going to stop the shipping of it, so no one's getting it.
Oh, that's not right, David. That's not right. That's not the way to do things.
Yeah.
I think he meant to say start.
I think he meant start shipping Monday. Yes.
I think they stopped the shipping of that. So
he's like, I said it wrong. You know what I mean, guys.
Yeah. But
you know how David is.
Mickey.
So he did that. He did that only because he heard that Jester hasn't gotten his GMT games list or his GMT games shipping yet. And for every day it's delayed, he's going to delay the shipping of Point Blank.
That's it. We will not ship until Jester gets his package.
I'll get my copy of Point Blank before you get your GMT stuff. There you go.
Probably. Well, everyone, thank you. I hate to call it already, but we've gone a couple hours already. And we're looking forward to spending a lot of time this week talking about stuff. We got a great discussion, and we want to thank Mo.
That was good. Yeah.
And the Whiskey Charlie man himself for coming out, taking over for Tony 2.0. So thanks so much for coming out.
I'm the errata version of Tony.
Yeah. No, at least you've been printed in the right colors.
There you go.
Well, there you go. That's part of you're just making sure print in the right colors. If you can do that, you're going to get my support. If you can't, then screw you. All right. Another good show. Thanks so much, Mo. Rough as usual. Next week, we're going to give you the week off so we can see if your head explodes.
It will. But, do it anyway.
Because I've taken a couple hiatuses for medical and this, that, and the other thing. And Tony has because he has
taken years off. Years.
I think you are the only one that has not had a day off since we started.
He's the Iron Man.
Yeah. I've got no life. You see, that's what it's. No friends, no life. Everybody hates me, so this is my sort of thingy. My
refuge. It's your refuge.
Yeah. That's it. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for another week. We do appreciate it so much. Don't forget, if you enjoyed what you see here, go support your other Wargame channels out there. Make sure when you watch their videos, you give them a like, give them a comment, let people know. The more your voice is out there, the more everyone's voice is out there. So don't be shy. Use your voice, guys, because your voice is just as important as ours.
Mm-hmm.
And many put together make a lot of noise. And we may attract. That's
right. Well, thanks, guys. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you next week. Until then, take care, everybody.
Love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.